Hey, everybody, it is April 24th, 2020. I am Glenn Hausman. I'm here for your show. Anthony Melchiori will be joining in just a few seconds, but today we've got Joe Rice of JDI and Mark Alvin as well. And these guys are going to help get you ready for the coming job market. We know you've been sitting on the sidelines a little too long already. We're all getting a little tense, but we're going to help empower you on this Feel Good Friday to make a big difference in your life. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. I am Glenn Hausman, and that is not Anthony Melchiori. That is Joe Rice. He's the managing partner of JDI, and I promise you, Anthony will be with us in just a couple of seconds, but he's not quite here yet. That's one of the things they do with a live show, right, Joe? I mean, stuff happens. Joe, you're going to have to take yourself off mute if we want to talk to you today.
There we go. You got to roll with it, and I understand it's Feel Good Friday, so, we just got to get some good vibes.
Yeah, we definitely want to get some very good vibes over there. And sorry if I'm like looking around. I'm trying to monitor all the different conversations. It's always pretty exciting over here doing that. But I did want to say that we had some good news. Let's get that started right away because Hilton has put out an announcement that they are getting ready to welcome guests during the May holiday in China. China's got a big 5-day May holiday. And according to the area president of Hilton Greater China and Mongolia, Hilton expects the demand for quality travel and family bonding, which was suppressed by the pandemic, will become a driving force of consumption during the industry. So things are starting to finally, maybe, possibly, potentially come back in that part of the world. And hopefully that'll happen with us here soon. I know that you guys out there are getting real tired of all of this. I know I'm getting real tired of this, Joe. I gotta tell you, I've been home 6 weeks now, and that's about 5.5 weeks longer than I'm normally at home. But the good news is my family has not made me sleep in a tent on the lawn. How are you doing, Joe?
I'm doing great. I'm going through the same roller coaster as you, and good days and bad days. And I started a video series called Stay Sane. So every day or every other day, I'm putting out something that I do to stay sane. So yeah, I'm staying sane through this.
All right. Okay. So we're talking about staying sane, but in a minute, we're going to talk really about what that job market is going to look like and how you folks out there can better prepare yourself. And then soon enough, we're going to have Mark Alvin come on to talk about getting that LinkedIn profile in shape. There's no reason why you guys can't be successful, and we're going to find our way through that. But Joe, tell me something today that we should be feeling really good about that you've been putting out there on your network.
A lot of what we're putting out there, we started a series called The Moguls of Hospitality. And for those who don't know, we're an executive recruiting firm. Hospitality is our longest practice area since 2005, real estate, senior living, construction. But we're putting out stories about the moguls of hospitality, the heroes stepping up on the front lines in times of adversity. And there are a lot of positive stories. From a business perspective, there is some feel good. I had a conversation that was apropos yesterday with a gentleman named Robert Berg. He's the president of Aimbridge. And one of the things he pointed out is that through this, there may be regulations placed on Airbnb, and that market may become suppressed, which would be a great thing for the industry. So there are positive things coming out of this.
Right. Excellent. So welcome back or welcome to the show, Anthony. Man, I got to tell you, Anthony, for a Feel Good Friday, technology is really giving us a problem. But like I said yesterday, Anthony are both jazzing up, gearing up, or getting the better equipment in here to make sure that we do not have any internet issues going forward. Great to see you, Anthony.
Well, it's great to see you too, my friend. Today is Feel Good Friday, so one of the things I try to do is wear my pink shirt with my pink jacket. Unfortunately, my pink shirt and my pink jacket are a little tight on me. Apparently, when I had them fitted a couple of years ago, I wasn't in quarantine.
Well, I knew the quarantine was coming, so I went and had all of my pants loosened ahead of time so I wouldn't have a trouble. I also suggest elastic. That works out really well.
So go ahead and ask some questions, and I'll jump right in.
All right. So what Joe was saying, for those of you just joining us, such as Anthony over here, he was speaking to the president of Aimbridge, and he's thinking a good news will be that perhaps legislators are going to finally take a closer look at what's going on in the Airbnb universe. Because we know, Anthony, that the hotel industry is trying to make sure that those playing in that Airbnb space have to follow the same rules, the same regulations, the same things that all of us have to figure out out there.
And I think that that's really critical. And I think if you're an Airbnb owner, I wouldn't even look to anybody else. I would really start setting standards of if your own family was in that house, in that Airbnb,
Mhm.
how would you want them to be? Like Chris was saying yesterday, or someone was saying yesterday, that on my other show, someone was saying that if my family was staying in my hotel, I would make sure that it's perfect. And then that's where you need to start. And then look at the CDC, then look at Marriott, then look at everybody else, what everybody else are doing. But you got to look like it. God forbid you're going to get sick. So just good common sense coming out of here is going to be what the most important. And I think one of the things we've been talking about is that stamina. This isn't going away anytime quick. So
Right.
those expenses are going up. And it's just the way it is. But your touch points are going to go down, so your expenses on payroll maybe go down.
Right. So, Joe, I'm curious as to what you think that job market is going to be looking like. We're talking to all of these executives every single day on our show here daily at 12 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. If you guys want, you can get a repeat of that viewing on either my channel, Anthony's various channels, or our No Vacancy News channel, and our Checking In channel as well. But, Joe, when we speak to these executives, one of the hardest things they've had to do is dealing with the layoffs, the furloughs, all of that kind of stuff. So they're hoping to bring people back as quick as they possibly can, but you're seeing the reality out there on a day-to-day basis. What do you think the expectations are for people when we do come back with this job market?
Yeah, I'll give you a two-part answer on that. I think one thing is nobody knows. There's just no clarity right now. We've never been through something like this, so there's a level of uncertainty, as much as that's become a buzzword. The second thing is, I think in terms of the recovery in the hospitality industry, and also in our economy in general, some people have talked about a V-shaped type of a return where it shoots back up. But I think the prevailing sentiment of executives that I've spoken with at some of the top marquee hotel companies is it's going to be more like a Nike swoosh sign, kind of a gradual climb back up the mountain. In terms of hiring, it's going to manifest itself differently at different levels. One thing is that the executive levels are of utmost importance right now, and I think those levels will remain strong and come back faster than some of the hourly levels. Hotel general managers will be as critical as they've ever been, and vice presidents and regional support teams will be just as critical as they've ever been coming out of this.
All right, so we could look at this as a negative where all of you people were laid off, or we could look at this as a positive, and it is Feel Good Friday, right, Joe and Anthony? So what is really a recruiter going to be looking for on a resume? How can you best position yourself on that piece of paper to get noticed, be put on the top of the pile, and get that call to come in and introduce yourself?
Yeah, the thing about a resume is it is what it is. You are who you are. And I think one of the biggest things about resumes right now, especially, is be who you are. A lot of times we want to be really broad because we don't want someone to look at a resume and find out we don't have the experience they're looking for. Well, what's going to end up happening is the jobs you do apply for that you match, if you're too broad, you're not going to get looked at for those either. So be who you are. And so the hotel industry, 65% of all new development is Hilton or Marriott. Okay. If you have that experience, put it front and center. And if you don't, put the brands you do have. If you're a regional director over 12 hotels, show us what the brands are, because what's going to happen is there's possibly a lot of resumes coming in and we have to make split-second decisions. Don't list out your job description of what a general manager does. List out your accomplishments. If I see a job description, my assumption is you don't have any accomplishments. So put who you are out there very clearly. Don't hide things so that you don't get passed over, and put the accomplishments out there. I think those are two things from a resume perspective. And don't be afraid to be a little bit professionally persistent to follow up. A lot of talent acquisition teams have been laid off. Don't be afraid to reach out to a hiring manager to get noticed.
Yeah.
And that you said two things. One, you said, we have a split second, and then you said, don't be afraid to follow up. Those are the two things that I think has destroyed the integrity of our industry in finding good talent. And what does that mean? I'm really passionate about this. What do I mean? Back in the day, you would either have to have a friend that knows somebody, or you would have to be so persistent, your head would explode before you got the job. You'd have to go. I literally handed my resume, or had my mother hand my resume to the front desk of Waldorf Astoria to hand it to Eric Long. I didn't know who Eric Long. Eric Long eventually became my best friend because he liked the fact that my envelope was a different color and that my resume was a different color, and that it was handed at the front desk. There was no stamp on it. Somebody actually dropped it off. They didn't know it was my mother, and we had a 20-year friendship. So that to me is the lost art of getting a career, is that you have to go get it.
Mhm.
You send a resume to a recruiter. You send a resume to a human resource director. They have a split second. They're making a decision in a split second. How many decisions have you can make on somebody's career in a split second? You know, I'll give you an example. When I first pitched my show,
Mhm.
I sent them a sizzle reel. 3 people liked me. 2 people said, "Hey, we're going to wait 6 months or a year." I said, "I didn't want to wait." The one person that didn't really like me that much said, "You're not animated enough. You don't have enough emotion. Like you're not. You
I love
you
that.
seem like you're really held back."
I can see
And I
that.
literally was like, "Are you out of your mind?" But they said, "We're gonna." So they said, "No, thank you." Then 2 weeks later, out of nowhere, they said, "Hey, we're gonna put you on green screen." They asked me some questions. Apparently, I lost my mind, and they said, "You're perfect." So you can't, like, even on the sizzle reel that I put together, they didn't see my personality. So the hell they're not going to see my personality in 2 seconds on the resume. You've got to fight for your position, especially coming out of this. And I'm sick and tired of those people sitting on the couch saying, "Mom, Dad, honey, no one's getting back to me, and I'm more qualified than all these people." Yes, you are.
Mhm.
But people like Joe and people like me have a split second to make a decision on you.
Anthony, feel good Friday, and persistency is back, brother.
Yeah, I love that. And I think one of the things that I did when I was younger and I was in that resume thing, and even if I was trying to do sales before I got more experience doing that, is I would think that they didn't respond because of me, something that I did. I never, ever considered that maybe they were understaffed. Maybe they were maybe it fell through the cracks. Maybe they skipped over that email or didn't see that piece of mail.
You know, more importantly, Glenn, they don't give a crap.
Right.
Make things easy for me. Make my job easy. I got my boss. I got this. I got that. I got a to-do list when I get home. I got too much going on. Make it easy for me, okay? And if in an email, okay, 500 emails in a day, and then I ask my assistant to print it out, and I ask my assistant, "Hey, just give me the stuff that looks good," and then I have 100 resumes. I literally time myself. I asked my assistant. I can't remember where I was working, but I was the managing director of a hotel. And I said, "I want you to time, just watch me. I'm not going to do it for show. I'm just going to do it." And I got the 100 resumes just like I normally would do behind closed doors without my assistant looking at me. And I said, "Time me." And she didn't know what I was doing. And I would look at the resume and I would start going. And every time I moved my hand to a pile, she was supposed to time how long that was. Okay. The good pile, 3 seconds. The bad pile, 1.5 seconds. Okay. The I don't know pile was about 12 seconds because I went like this.
I hear you. Right.
You know, so you literally, a good or bad pile, you have 3 seconds. Literally 3 seconds. I time myself because I don't have 2 hours to go through 100 resumes.
Right. That's funny because the same thing I see on the journalism side, when I get gajillions of press releases every day, it all comes down to a momentary paying attention. I look at it, I absorb it almost instantly, and then I make that reflexive decision, look a little bit deeper or move on. So Joe, it sounds to me that both Anthony and I want to know, how can you make yourself pop in an instantaneous minute, in an instantaneous moment, so people have that gut reaction that they want to pursue you farther?
Yeah, I think we want to see your experience, and I think a couple things. Put the month on the resume. Anthony, you've looked at resumes where you see nothing but years, and what you don't see within that are the gaps on the resume. Don't hide the gaps. If I don't see the months that you changed jobs, if it's not June of 2019 and then July of 2019 between your job changes, I'm assuming you maybe you got fired. So you have to be specific with.
Okay, hold on a second. How about if I did get fired? So how about if there is a gap of 6 months? Be honest, Joe. Don't bullshit. Be honest.
It's a judgment call. I think for me and from where I sit, if I find out someone's lying on their resume, I can't tolerate that. I won't work with that person. That's just a breach of integrity. But I think if you want to leave off the month and the year just to kind of glaze over it, you can. But I think being who you are, is the best way
No,
to go.
that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm asking. I asked a pointed question. The question is, if there's a 6-month gap, I put the months, and you find the 6-month gap, you assume I got fired. Does my resume go in the garbage?
No, not automatically, but if you've got 4 of them, maybe, yeah.
All right.
But
So how does
if you have one's explainable, so you're going to give me a shot, right?
If you have one, you're going to definitely get a shot. If you have a lot of them, and you
I'm going to
change
burn the
jobs
resume.
every couple
I'm going to
years,
burn the resume.
Right.
I'm going to burn the resume. Right.
But Joe, AHLA says 7 out of 10 hospitality professionals right now are out of business as of new data released just yesterday. My guess is this gap now, free pass for all.
Absolutely.
Of
Yeah.
course.
This is if you're not working right now, it doesn't say anything about your skill set or your capacity. This is just a freak thing, and everybody gets a hall pass.
Yep.
Okay, our producer just wrote "Feel Good Friday, gentlemen." So apparently we're being too serious. Anybody have jokes? Anybody want to tell a joke?
Yeah. My wife had made me shoot a video with her this morning. This joke was appealing to kindergarteners. Why did the kid throw the stick of butter out the window? He wanted to see butterfly. Ba-dum-bum.
Did you actually do that video?
It was for 5-year-olds.
You know what I liked about that whole statement? You know, I'm really about the nuance. My wife made me do a video.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of I helped my wife with a video, she made me.
No, she made me. But I did just the other day willingly participate in helping learn how to do the letter D. Did you know that it starts with a magic C hat? No. Well, you just go around there all the way up to the top and then right back down.
Hey, Jeff, our producer, I'm sorry. So, Joe, it is Feel Good Friday. So why coming out of this should I feel good? Like what is the good part of everybody being laid off and everybody having the same problem? Because what's the good part of it? You think you were going to come on here and answer an easy question, didn't you?
Anthony, man, you're just throwing the bullets out there. Well, look, I think there are good things coming out of this. Now, for me, they felt a lot better 3 weeks ago. All the extra time that we're spending with our families. I think there's a general realignment of human beings right now. I hope that one of the things that comes out of this is more empathy. And I'm thinking about this just from people looking for a job on all sides. If you are looking for a job, empathy that the job you're applying for on the other side has a lot of applications. So I said professional persistence. And that also means that follow-up email has to be short. Don't write a paragraph. Empathy to the person you're applying to. And then on the hiring manager side, empathy to the person that's following up with you. We had a recruiter in my office make a call into a company that we have a couple other practice areas. So this was outside of hospitality. And someone scolded them for making a phone call to try to do business. And, you know, that's, to me, lacking empathy. Everybody, I think, is going to come out of this with more empathy. And that has been the response I've gotten from most people. So I think there's a lot of positives. And I think people get stuck in where they are right now. Look at sports. If Tampa Bay starts out 4-0, we think they're going to go to the Super Bowl, but then maybe they lose their next 8 games, and now we change our perspective. We're always caught up in the right now. This is going to pass. Right. Things are going to come back. Don't get caught up on the good or the bad side of it. If you're laid off right now, it's not going to last forever. If you just got the PPP loan, that's not going to last forever. So don't think that you just, stumbled into a gold mine and you can go buy 4 hotels if you're a developer. So I think we have to live in the here and now and in the future. And I think that's going to come from this as well.
Yeah, and the reason Tampa Bay would be 4-0 is because Brady is having great games, and then on the 5th game, he stumbles into his neighbor's house again and gets arrested.
All right, Joe, I got a question from the audience. Since there are 70% looking for work, what advice can you offer for brand new college grads who are looking but may have no real practical experience? That's a little bit of a toughie.
So funny you should mention. So Robert Berg had a conversation with him yesterday. I don't think he'd mind me saying his daughter just graduated from Michigan State with a hospitality degree, and she sounds like she's top pedigree. And a lot of the students who had offers coming out of Michigan State, those offers got pulled.
Yeah,
and he said to her, he goes, "This is a great time to go get your master's degree." Why not go get that master's degree? So one piece of advice, if you were thinking about getting a master's degree, I think it's divine intervention. The universe is saying yes. So that's one thing you could do. And I think the other thing is, and I have a cousin who just graduated from Ohio State, and she graduated early. She's 20, kind of like Anthony, maybe not that persistence that you talked about that you need to have sitting around waiting for the replies. And also a little, she made a comment. She goes, "Oh, that job's 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. That'll take my whole day." This isn't the time to be blissful. Go roll up your sleeves and get an hourly job. Go stock shelves in a grocery store. They all just got 50-cent raises at Publix. So I think the advice is go do some hard work and don't be too good for any job. And if you don't, go get your master's degree. But I think there's some really good lessons in hard work.
I think that's really, really good advice. And, as far as, I'm getting to Jones, and Glenn and I have been talking about this for 6 months. It's like, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I want a 5-star hotel to run. It's like, with all the things I got going on, I still have the juices to run a hotel. So, hard work, if hard work leaves you, then you're in trouble. There was a story, and I've probably told it here, and I've probably told it to Glenn, and it'll definitely be in my book, that I literally offered the executive search firm, my first GM job, the commission if I didn't get the job. I didn't have a pot to piss it in the window to throw it out of, as my mother would say. Okay. And I was 29 years old. Did I ever tell you this, Glenn?
Nope.
And I won't tell you who, but it's a very famous headhunter in New York City that everybody knows. Mm-hmm. And I said, if I don't get that job, because Anthony, you don't have general manager experience. They are looking for general managers. I'll look like a fool if I put you up for it. I said, but you got me a director front office. I ran a bread restaurant company. Like, I can do this. I want to be the general manager of this hotel. He goes, can't do it, Anthony. Get off the phone. I go to the hotel. I walk up and down the stairs. I go around the hotel. It was the Lucerne Hotel. And I'm like, I'm getting this job. I call him back up. I don't have any money. And I said to him, I guarantee you your commission if I don't get the job. He sent me a contract. I signed it. The next day I went in to meet with Ron Dome, at the Lucerne Hotel. God is my witness. I got the job the next day. Thank God, because I had no money to pay his thing. But I put myself out there, and that is a God-honest true story, and everybody involved will tell you that's a true story. I was like, this is my job. No one's taking that job. You take that job, I'm going to choke you out and throw you out the window. That's my job. Yep. And I'm willing to figure out a payment plan for the executive search firm on a job I didn't get because I knew I was getting it. As soon as I walked in that elevator, went up to the penthouse and walked the stairs of that hotel, I was like, this is my hotel. God is telling me I need to be the general manager. That is the persistence it takes to be successful in any career. Any one of us can tell stories like that, 10 stories like that. So this woe is me, I sent a resume, have empathy, all that, I agree with you 100%. But at the end of the day, when we're running a hotel, when a pandemic happens, the person I hired pre-pandemic hopefully is that persistent person, because when I do have a pandemic, that's the person saying, I'm going to work for free and I'm going to do whatever I need to do, Anthony, to help this hotel and to help you, because we're in this together. That shows what you're going to look like when shit hits the fan.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Joe, I got a couple more questions for you, and then we're going to bring in Mark Alvin to help us all out there boost up our LinkedIn profiles, and Joe will help give a little context to that as well. Are recruiters going to be needed when there's such a large candidate pool? I'm going to say yes, and you can tell us why. And then also, is it unprofessional to apply for positions that might not be showing as available? So a little twofer for you, and then we'll bring in Mark.
Yeah, I think applying for positions that aren't available is a great strategy. And, you think about Frank Sinatra, for example. He was the most popular man in America for such a long time. And then he went like 20 years with no interview. And I think it was Larry King called him up and said, hey, will you do an interview? He's like, absolutely. Oh, really? Well, why didn't you do one sooner? Nobody asked me. They thought I was unapproachable. And just like Anthony said, he marched up there and asked for it. So I think ask for things, and a closed mouth doesn't get fed. So go ask, and if it's not posted, it's okay.
You know how many people have said to me, Anthony, I always wanted you on my podcast. Glenn asked me. He asked me, and I said, I'm in. But you know how many people now say to me, Anthony, oh my God, can I get you on my podcast? I'd love to partner with your podcast. I'm like, no, I'm loyal and exclusive to Glenn. I'm not doing any other podcast. I'll tell you my partner for our business. No, I'm not doing it. As a spot, yeah, sure, I'll come on, but I'm not going to partner with somebody. And Glenn asked me the question, would you want to do a podcast? Yep. And here I am.
Yeah, which is pretty freaking awesome for me. I was going to joke around and say it's pretty awesome for you, but no, it's really awesome for it's really awesome for me. Okay, let's talk about zooming up those revenues. Let's bring in our next guest. Mark Galvin with ePresence.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Welcome to the Combat Zone. How are you, sir?
It's good to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
I am psyched to have you on the show. All right, so I don't know Mark from a hole in the wall, but we exchanged a couple of emails and stuff like that, and I totally dig your personality. I love your background over there. I'm feeling like it's Friday, and we definitely got this.
You bet. And I tell you something, I was waiting to hear about all the drink recipes you guys were going to talk about. You haven't done that yet.
All right. No, we haven't. And I'm sorry to say, everybody, we had to push that to next week because the males are working a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and we didn't get our supplies here. I did, however, make my own simple syrup this morning, so I'm definitely going to go utilize that to its fullest ability as soon as I'm done with this.
So Mark, why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Rock on. So I am Mark Galvin. I'm the president and founder of ePresence. We are a social media agency. We do a lot of work on social media. I personally focus on LinkedIn. It's my gig. And I came 29 years out of the hotel business. So I was an operations guy. I was a sales guy. So I understand what's going on here. And there was a time that I would say that, well, you know what? The hotel business is the best place to work because there's always a job. This is probably one of those times I sit back and have to scratch my head. There's not a lot of jobs now, but they're going to be there. And hopefully they'll be back, say, by rolling back in by the end of, say, May. And you got to have your LinkedIn profile ready to go because that is going to be the first impression for a lot of people.
So talk about that. A lot of people, including me, I have premium LinkedIn. I have LinkedIn Live. I don't know how the hell to use LinkedIn.
He does not.
But yeah, you do.
Thank you, Glenn.
You do know.
No, you. We're just joking because you do. You're crushing it out there, man. But Mark,
okay, so let's start. I'm a layman, so let's start. I want maybe Joe to get my resume. I want maybe the president of Marriott to get my resume. Maybe I want Anthony Mercury to get my resume. What do I do? Like literally walk me through what's the best way? What's the best? What's the best? No, that's a really good, important. That's really important. How do I on LinkedIn get Anthony Mercury or Joe to look at my resume when there's 1,000 resumes that look at mine? What do I do?
So
you got this, Joe. I mean, Mark.
Yeah. But I was going to say, you can throw it to Joe, but let me jump in front of Joe. Here's the thing that you got to remember that LinkedIn really is good at. It's good at influencing people. Social media is the number one influencer today. So a good friend of mine, Eric Qualman, says 93% of buying decisions are influenced, put influence in all caps, by social media. So what do? You need to influence the people to remember you, Anthony. And how are you going to do that? Well, you got to start off with a great profile. You've got to make sure that you've got a profile picture that people can see your eyes. Why? Because Anthony, if I met you face to face, I'd walk up to you, I'd shake your hand. Well, 6 weeks ago, I'd shake your hand. I'd look you in the face and I'd look in your eyes. So you need to make sure that your LinkedIn profile can see your eyes. Don't have your picture way back there because people can see you. So you got to make sure.
Can you tell everybody out there that if you have a GQ picture, whether you're a girl or a boy, don't put it on LinkedIn.
Save it for Facebook.
Or Tinder or whatever you use.
There are some sites that are important. Right? That's perfectly fine. The truth is, there's a website that you can use called photofeeler.com to pick out the best picture for your profile picture. PHOTO feeler.com. It's a crowdsourced site. Random people land on your picture, say whether you're competent, influential, or competence, influence. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Friendliness. That's the one.
But if I can, Mark, what's really important is about making your presentation, whether it be on LinkedIn or in live. We've had, 100 guests on this show, and I've interviewed thousands in my career. You, period, win because your mic is in the right position, you got this is in the right position, your lighting is in the right position, everything is in the right position. So when I look at your production value, it's like not only do I want to listen to you, I want to learn from you. I'm literally taking things away from your setup, like that black screen you got, the way that you got this is between your microphone and your face, the way your lighting is perfect on your face. You know, that microphone looks powerful. You look like a radio disc jockey in New York that's making $10 million a year to do it. So that is kind of what you're talking about. So
Right.
so
Absolutely.
I'm immediately paying attention to you simply because you paid attention to how you show up. So I just want to make that note.
Yeah, and I will tell you that is well. First of all, perception's reality. We all heard that in the hotel business, right? If someone perceives that they're not enjoying a stay at a hotel, they aren't. And so what you need to do is try to control the perception as best as possible. And I'm telling you what, that first impression. So Joe will get you in front of someone, right? Joe's going to make sure he's presenting the very best candidates to his clients. They're going to go to the LinkedIn profile first. If they land on your profile and you don't have a headshot, forget about it, because your competition may. Joe, do you ever run across people without headshots these days?
You know, every once in a while you do, and it makes you pause. You know, that's a real head scratcher. And if you're split second, 1.5 seconds to make a decision, and you're on the fence, that's going into the pass pile.
But hold on, but hold on a second. How about if I'm not comfortable with the way I look, and maybe my whole career I've always felt that maybe I'm not the prettiest person or the most in shape person, whatever, and I feel really insecure about my personality. People are judging me based on my picture. I would love for nobody to have a profile picture. It's kind of like The Voice. You're judged on your voice. You should be judged on your talents. So some people just don't feel comfortable. They feel like they're going to be judged on their looks. And I don't care what anybody says on this show. You are.
Yeah.
And what I would do is I'd get a photo that represents you as best as possible. Hey, we've all been to industry events. So you walk in, they're giving out free headshots. And there's a lot of folks that are introverted like that who say, gosh, you know what? I don't want a headshot. You got to get it, because that headshot's worth about $300, maybe even $500. If you were to hire someone to come get a headshot for you, it's going to be around $500 for a good person. Always get headshots. And then I'm telling you what, use that site, photofeeler.com. It will tell you which picture is the best. And here's the other thing about Anthony. We're all very critical of ourselves, extremely critical. Which side it looks better. You know, I've got a daughter who refuses to stand on the left side of the shot because she looks much better on the other side. Give me a break. It really comes down to this. You go to photofeeler.com. You're going to have people tell you which are the best pictures for you, and you should use that. You've got to have it, because you can show up in person.
Right, Mark. So it's not really about you being attractive or not attractive. It's about you presenting yourself in the best possible way that you certainly can. I've seen too many pictures out there where they didn't even put in the effort to take a picture alone. Like they'll have a family member in there that they'll try to crop out or something like that. That tells me potentially as a recruiter, as somebody who's going to hire somebody, that person isn't willing to go the extra mile to do things the right way.
You know, and I think what's important is when you work for a company, say you're not an entrepreneur and you've worked for companies your whole life, there's one moment you have to be an entrepreneur. Okay. That's when you're selling yourself. That is when you're an entrepreneur. That is when you have to worry about every single detail. That's when you have to worry about every concern. You know, I still don't have my production value of this show the way I want it. It's driving me crazy. Because my house is full right now with everyone. I can't be in my office. I can't be in certain parts of my house. Okay. So I'm still uncomfortable with it. But I'm working towards getting better and better and better. And I think that the one thing that you can control is you can control how you present yourself. No, Joe, you did not present yourself by accident this way. You put thought and time into it, because this is how you can't say you're e-presence and then show up like,
right,
show up any different.
All right, so
I'm sorry, Glenn. Am I boring you? I'm probably
no, but we got so many great questions, right? I mean, David, David Ganano, our awesome guest booker, actually had a question. Maybe he should be doing this show because he's got all the good ones today. What are some of the top things on LinkedIn, Joe, that you're looking for when searching profiles for candidates? And let's see if that overlaps with what Mark is thinking.
Yeah, no, I agree with Mark. And I'll even take a step back. I'm looking forward to what Mark has to say. We look at LinkedIn all the time, but I feel like it's ever changing, just like anything on social media right now. And we pay a marketing firm to help us address it properly. And I think in looking for a candidate, sometimes people don't understand that there is nuts and bolts to it too. There's a lot of pretty pictures and look good, but like your title, how am I going to find you? If your title is looking for a job and I go in and type in a title to find all the general managers I want to contact, you don't come up. So think about who you want to contact you and make sure your title reflects that. I think just don't ignore the nuts and bolts of how the searching criteria works is one
And
thing.
how much time do you spend searching LinkedIn for the right candidates? I mean, is that where you do the bulk of your research?
A lot of recruiting firms do. We've built this incredibly sophisticated database. So for example, if I want to find every general manager at a 5-star hotel in America, boop, that comes up in our database, which kind of lends itself to the speed that we deliver. But if there's an interesting search that's a little outside the box, we are using LinkedIn more. And I would say the majority of recruiters I know, that is where they live, even though for us, that's not necessarily where we live the whole time. We go there every time. When I see a resume, I'm always looking at the resume and the LinkedIn profile simultaneously.
So what is, give me an example where you looked at a resume and you went to their LinkedIn page and you were so excited about their resume and you went to their LinkedIn page and you're like, no. Has that ever happened?
That has happened. Yeah. I mean, to me, every big thing is just 1,000 little things. And if your LinkedIn profile isn't reflective of that, it sinks your battleship.
A designer on one of my shows said to me, the little things are the big things. Because I said something stupid apparently to her. And she said to me, Anthony, the little things are the big things. And I was just like, done. I'll go now. So you're 100% right. And it's true. It's 100% true.
That sounds to me a statement that I've heard a lot from some insecure men out there. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Feel Good Friday,
there
people.
It is. Hey, I'd love to jump on here. Joe, you said something I think is important, and that is you get that resume, and then you look at LinkedIn profile, and you got to make sure they match. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people that they'll switch one out, switch something out, and they don't realize that the LinkedIn profile is not matching. That is a major problem. It's a huge issue, and can take that resume to the bottom of the pile.
And if you were a general manager, say at Marriott 25 years ago, and you're a general manager at a Marriott today, that shows consistency, but that also tells me I want an explanation. Were you ever interested in being a regional? Were you ever interested in more responsibility? Because if I'm going to hire you, say I have a job as a regional and you've been a general manager for 25 years, why haven't you made that move before? Are you too conservative? Or have you not been, is your reviews not good? So the consistency is great. The one company is great. But why haven't you got out of your comfort zone? Is that intentional, which is 100% fine? Because if I'm running a Marriott, a regular Marriott, and that you understand how to run, then I'm going to hire you. But if I'm running a region and I'm potentially bringing this 25-year Marriott guy in, it's going to tell me a lot. So the consistency is important, but like to your point, I think it was Joe or Mark, be who you are. And if that's who you are, but then be able to explain that either in a cover letter or, in a conversation.
I think that's a great point, Anthony. And I'm going to adjust my camera here. There's a book up here called Top Grading. And some of our clients use the methodology of top grading to evaluate talent. And what they're trying to measure is trajectory. You've been on this planet for this much time. What have you done in that period of time? And if you've been in this industry for 10 years and you've gotten so far, and another person's 20 years has gotten to the same place as you, why did they get there so much faster? And a lot of organizations are looking at just that, Anthony, to your point.
And a lot of it is like, if I look at my career, my career has been an anomaly, but simply because my personality is different than most people in the hospitality industry. I don't take direction well. Okay. I just don't. And it's known. I mean, I'm just not a guy I'm just a guy that doesn't take direction well. Doesn't mean I'm not respectful. And it doesn't mean that I can't listen to an order because I was in the military. I'm simply restless. So if you look at my resume, you're like, man, this guy's been everywhere and this guy's done everything. But if you put me in a position to run a Marriott, I'm going to fail. It's like, oh, this guy's perfect for a 5-star Marriott we have coming on or a regional position. Wow, look, he's done everything. No, I'll fail. So every resume, you have to be able to explain it. And I think one of the things that people are afraid of is they're judged by some of those decisions. And I'll tell you, the reason I wanted to become a general manager so young is because I didn't want people judging me. I just wanted to be the boss. And so that's why it's so important to sell yourself. That's why it's so important to do, like somebody just wrote us, I sent something in Federal Express to a general manager and I got the job. You have to think outside the box and you have to show your personality. Your resume doesn't show your personality. My resume says I've done a lot of really cool things, but really you want to talk to me because you probably don't want to give me a standard Marriott to run because I'll screw it up. And I think that's really, really important. Your resume, listen, personality, you don't meet friends on a resume. Glenn didn't send me his resume, right? He's got to prove himself to me. So I think a resume is a formality. It's like kind of a college degree. Just because I graduated with top of my class with a great college degree in business doesn't mean I'm going to be successful.
Right. Hey, Mark. I'd love that you put up your profile on my LinkedIn account.
Gosh, you're watching everything. I can't get away with anything with you, can I?
No, but listen, I love that. But what I want to add to that, Mark, is that we're going out on Anthony's stream, on multiple other streams, 5 or 6 in total. Could you type in your profile into our private chat box here, and then we'll have our producer put it up on the screen so everybody can see what a banging great profile looks like.
So this is a really good question. This is a really good question. And you put it up. Oh my God, that's perfect. Go ahead. You put it up as I was going to say. Let's ask that question.
So there's something important here. I would love to share some profiles beyond mine, but I didn't ask anybody if I could. So I work with a lot of executives, and we clean up their profiles. That's one of the things that we do. And I didn't ask anybody if I could share their profile, but I can give you some offline that'll match your industry. There are a lot of hotel GMs that we work with, and the reason we work with GMs is because they are too busy doing the Marriott bin. Anthony, what's the Marriott bin?
I don't know.
You're walking across the lobby, you pick up some trash, you put the trash in your pocket, right?
Oh, yeah.
At the end of the day, you empty all the trash out of your pocket.
Well, I like to say that's the general manager, Ben, because we all do that. But I've never worked for Marriott, so I apologize.
No good. No problem. All right. So
Marriott should apologize to you, Anthony.
but since we're talking about Marriott, I did tour Mr. Marriott around one of my properties, and I was told not to paint anything because Mr. Marriott's sick and tired of getting wet paint on the suits.
So there's a couple of things I want to mention about profiles. Joe, you said something I think is real important, and that is the title. And a lot of people, when you're not looking for a job, you may change the headline on your profile to not include your title. And actually, that's pretty cool. There's nothing wrong with that because that is search engine active. So if I'm looking for somebody to do business with, and maybe I'm looking for a recruiter, I may not look for you as managing partner, but I may go in and look for hospitality recruiter. So those words need to be up in your headline. As soon as you're looking for a position, you got to have a title in that headline. The headline has 120 character max. So you really need to optimize those. And then someone asked a question about experience somewhere in there, Glenn, and I may have missed the entire question, but I do know this. I want to mention this. Your experience needs to do what Joe's going to tell you to put on your resume. What have you achieved? What awards have you got? How have you exceeded your goal? How have you met budget? These real concrete things. Don't say I'm experienced because I love what I do. And that needs to be somewhere on your resume, on your LinkedIn profile. I like that in the about section. And I'm going to get to the about section in a second.
Right. And can I say this? I think that's an incredible point. Don't tell us what a general manager does. All of us know what they do.
Right.
I think that's a good point. I think Joe said that before. And you need to just put, like, if you say you won, salesperson of the quarter or the year, that immediately stands out to me because that means you're special. And I think that those are the critical points that have to pop out really, really quick. Because again, you have 3 seconds, you're making these decisions.
You bet. And Anthony, your video is fantastic. So for the record, so you fixed your problem pre-show problem. So this is good.
Which video?
Your video's working. You're moving.
You're crystal clear.
Yeah, looks good.
Oh. Was that? Oh, okay, good.
Here, back up. 12 o'clock. It wasn't working well.
Yeah.
You shut down. You came back. It's working great.
First of all, I'm from Brooklyn. New York City public education. Be careful.
Well done.
I gotta go slow. No, but I think that's a really, really good point.
Yeah. So there's something that's overlooked.
Mhm.
Number one, you got to know who your audience is. And if you're looking for a job, who's your audience? So Anthony, let's say I'm looking to be the director of sales at a hotel. I need to really think about hotel GMs, right? They're the ones that are going to hire me. So focusing on that person, put yourself, have an out-of-body experience. Put yourself in Anthony's shoes. Imagine, what is it that I am looking for if I am Anthony? And you've got to really channel that. And then once you've got yourself in that mode, go through your profile and imagine you're Anthony looking at your profile. You're going to get down to the first section, an important section called the About section. A lot of people don't have it. If you don't have it, go in and add that to your profile. You go to the top, it says Add Profile section. You can add it. There are 3 lines that appear in the About section. This is huge. Top 3 lines appear, and then it says More, see more. Those 3 lines need to speak to Anthony, and they need to speak to Anthony in a marketing way. So I would say, all right, let's say, Anthony, I want to be your director of sales. I'm going to say, did your hotel last year fall short of its sales goals? Is your team not performing as high as they should or as good as they should? Play with the words as you may, right? Is your team morale not great? If you need these problems solved, come see me or
Wow.
read more. Now, if I did that, Anthony, if that was the top 3 lines of my About, and I'm hitting one of those chords, you're going to go, I got to see more about this guy, right?
Yes, depending on what I'm looking for. Absolutely.
Right. And if you're not a GM, and if someone like, Glenn doesn't hire people, right? Glenn, you have a huge staff, right?
Huge staff. But again, are we talking about man issues, or are we talking about my business career?
No, that's right. We're
Sorry,
talking about the size of your foot.
Good Friday. All right. So, but all right. Now I'm confused myself. Sorry, Mark. I'm going to shut up for a minute and let the experts speak for once.
But let's ask this question. And you had it up, but I don't think we asked it. Can you put it back up there, Glenn? It used to be you jump every 5 years into a new role. You were being left behind. Is that still a good mark, or is it more than 2 years? I will tell you, again, from my personal experience, to make more money, you have to jump sometimes, okay? Because you'll get a 5% increase, but the guy across town may give you a $50,000 increase. So that's one part of the hotel business. You have to jump. I've jumped in my career to make more money, and because I get restless. Number 2, I've been in a position, my first position, for 7 years. Okay. And then after that, I've never been in a position more than 2.5 years. I don't think, in my personal opinion, you guys, you're the experts, but 2 to 5 years is fine. Less than 18 months is kind of a problem. I think personally, less than 2 years is kind of a problem, but I think 2 to 5 years is fine. If you're there 6 or 7 years, I want to see growth within that hotel. I want to see you went from director of front office to the general manager, or to the number 2 position. So it really is not about length of time. It's what you've done with that time. If you're a general manager for 10 years, I probably will call you in depending on where you were general manager, but I'm going to ask you really pointed questions about why. Because if you're in something for 10 years and I'm about to do a new renovation, or I'm about to do new build, you may not like change, and you may not like working with me because I'm all about change. And so it's not really about the time. Again, you're there 6 months and you jump 4 times, you're done. Your resume will not get seen. You better be Houdini to get your resume seen, because if you're jumping every 6 to 8 months, 10 months, or even every year and a half, and you just keep jumping, you're in trouble. Unless it shows tremendous trajectory.
I'll piggyback on that, Anthony. I think you're wholeheartedly correct. And I think it also depends on what phase of your career you're in. If you've got someone who's in their first 10 years of their career and they've got several 18-month stints, but they've gotten incredibly far, it's because they're just getting recruited and getting paid more money. And as you get more senior in your career, into a bigger job, but maybe it's a $200,000 plus job, now you're not changing every 2 to 3 years. And then on the other side of it, I think there are hiring authorities out there that aren't looking for the earth shaker. I have hiring authorities that are like, oh man, no, that guy won't stay with us more than 18 months because he's an earth shaker, and we're not earth shakers. We're kind of middle of the road, conservative, and we want the guy that's going to be here 5 years. That's more important than an A player. So it does depend on, who the hiring manager is too.
Right. And
I
another
live-
depend that I've seen is, for example, I know a person that I've had on my No Vacancy podcast in the past that's like a hotel opening specialist, right? So they go and they do a job and then they wound up moving to that job in another position. It doesn't necessarily reflect on them. Plus, in my personal experience, when I was younger, I wouldn't necessarily get a promotion or get the raise that I wanted to by staying within the same organization. And sometimes I was forced to make moves quicker than a resume reader might like in order to advance my career in a quicker and more meaningful way. And it wasn't an indication of my skill set. Anthony, you want to?
I resigned my position from a hotel for another position and for a vice president position. And the gentleman I resigned to, we all know his name, so I'm not going to mention. He's a famous person in this industry. I called him up and I said, hey, I'm going to be leaving. And he was kind of okay with it. And then 2 weeks later, he comes into the hotel. He happened to be in the hotel. And he closed the door and he said, hey, good luck on your career. You were probably going to be fired within 6 weeks anyway. Swear to God. He said this to me. And I was like, excuse me? I was like, I thought I was killing it. I know I was killing it. And he was like, because he had taken over. I worked for the old owners and he took over probably 8 months to 10 months. And I was there already 2 years. So I've only worked for him 8 months. We turned around the hotel in 2 years. Anyway, he comes to my office and I thought I was killing it. And he says to me exactly what you said, Joe. He goes, you're an earth shaker. We don't do earth shakers. He said that to me. And I'll never forget that. So recently, probably about a year and a half ago, I was at a black tie affair at the Waldorf. I walk up to him and I'm talking to him and I go, remember what you said to me about 15 years ago in my office? He goes, no. I said, you basically said I suck. And he goes, what? And he goes, no, you actually said I was an earth shaker. He actually used different words. I'll just use earth shaker because I think it's a great word, a great statement. So, and he laughed at me and he goes, well, you are. And I was like, you're right. And that's a good point. That's a really good point. And you have to know, more importantly, and this is open to everyone, Glenn, Joe, Mark, more importantly than getting a job, is it the job you want? How many people do you see try to fake you out saying they want this job because they need the money and they need the job, but it's not the job they want? Have you, Joe, had a situation where you want to hire this person, but you knew in their heart,
good one,
they just can't, they just don't have the heart for it? Give me an example.
So one of the most rewarding experiences in my career, and I can't get too specific, but there was a candidate we were putting through for a big job. Mm-hmm. And we kind of got toward the end. And one of the things recruiters do that maybe doesn't get seen out on the surface is we're kind of cradling those candidates like little newborn babies to make sure the deal doesn't explode at the end. Let's get comp nailed down. Let's make sure you're going to relocate. Let's make sure all that. And I got to the end and I said, I don't feel like you want this job. And let me tell you something. You don't need to take this job for me. You need to do what's right for you. And I don't think you want this job. And I'm just putting it out there. And she goes, let me think about it. She got back to me. She turned the job down. Don't tell my clients. They're like, Joe, why'd you do that? She called me 6 months later and she goes, Joe, I just want to let you know that you changed my life. And I'm like, what? She goes, you know what I really wanted to do is I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I took what you said, I reflected on it, and I became a stay-at-home mom. It was the best decision of my life. And I wouldn't have done it if you didn't tell me not to take that job. And
wow.
So one of my greatest successes, didn't make $1 off of it, was guiding someone to not take a job because they didn't want the job. And so, Anthony, you have to want it if you're not passionate about what you're doing. And I can see with your career, Anthony, at the epicenter is passion. In this epicenter is passion. And if you're not passionate about what you're doing, don't do it.
That changes. The thing is, passion changes everything, right?
It's on my business card. I don't know if you ever got one of my business cards. On my business card, it says "Passion changes everything."
Yeah. Hey, Joe,
and it does. And it does.
Didn't know that.
Joe, if you could type in the name of that book recommendation into the private chat, then we'll get it up on screen because people are asking for that name again. All right, we got a question. How many jobs becomes too many to show on a resume? What's a good cutoff? I mean, I remember growing up in the year that if it's more than a page, then it's way too much. Maybe we need to know what some of those rules are again. Anybody want to jump on that? Joe?
I'll jump in. So I personally, the way I read resume is I go to the very end of the resume and I look at their college if they have it, and I work my way from the bottom up because I want to see your journey and I want to understand it. That is a top grading methodology, the book that I just put out there for you. So I want to see all your experience on your resume, and I want you to compress it. If you've got 50 years of experience, don't give me a 10-page resume, but I personally want to see it.
Yeah, but you know what? I've seen a lot. We've all seen, now we've seen this pandemic, so we can say we've seen everything, right? I've seen everything. And everybody here has seen everything in this business. If I'm in 1975 graduate, okay, and I'm looking to be a general manager of a hotel, or 1970 graduate of college, are you judging me because I'm old? And now you can't answer that. I'm going to answer it. People don't want to put that. People don't want to put that on there because they're like, this guy's 60 years old. Okay, I'm 55. Okay, I may be looking for a GM job in 5 years. You know, and I'm 60 years old. I'm not comfortable putting that I started my career in 1990 at the Embassy Suites in Times Square in Overland Park, Kansas. I'm not comfortable putting I graduated or graduated college in 1986, and I was 1990, and I was in the Air Force from 1986 because I sound old. And I graduated high school in 19, whatever.
You're so old, you can't get the year straight.
So again, you got to be careful. One of the good things about this show is, I can say whatever the hell I want. And so on one hand, yes, I agree with you, Joe, and I'm not going to put anybody in a position. I can say whatever I want. That you have to be careful because I don't know personally if I was going for a GM job today. If people didn't know me, obviously, thank God people kind of know what I've been doing in my career, but I don't know if I would be comfortable starting with my first job. I really don't. I think I would start with a later job, and not so much because I'm afraid of somebody, because once they meet me, I got a better shot or just as good a shot as anybody else. I don't care if I'm 60 or if I'm 90, I'm going to have a good shot because that's just how I'm built. So I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about getting the job. I'm worried about you judging me.
I agree. I think it's situational. And, right now there are 60, 65-year-olds lighting the world on fire. We placed a VP of sales and marketing, and he got passed over because of his age. The guy is crushing it. He's got more energy at 60-something than most, 25-year-olds. So I think
Jerry Inzarello was on our show the other day. Jerry Inzarello was 65 years old. Actually, the day before, I wished him happy birthday, but I forgot to wish him happy birthday on the show. 65 years old. Good luck fighting with that guy.
Yeah.
Good luck.
The world's different. I mean, a lot of my grandparents were passing away in their 60s, and now the average age is 80. You're still spry. And my father-in-law is 74. He could kick my butt. It's just the world's different now.
I guarantee you at 75 years old, I will be the strongest deadlifter at 75.
Unfortunately, that says more about Joe than his grandfather. Haha, just kidding. That just shows me I love you over here. Mark, what about you?
Yeah, and there's something I think it's interesting here, guys. Sometimes the older you get, you start to figure things out, and you find out where you ought to be and that you've probably been doing the wrong thing for a long while. So Anthony, a little while ago, you were talking about people just doing the wrong job. So if you're sitting out there today trying to figure out, is now a good time to realign? I really do recommend a book called Strength Finders 2.0. You can go and you can buy this thing. You get a little piece in the back. You go online and you can take a test, and it's going to tell you your top skills, the things that you're good at. They talk about, hey, you know what? NBA players play basketball. They don't play baseball. Well, one guy played baseball, but the rest of those NBA players, they just play basketball. They get really good at what they're good at. So I did mine. My top one is communication. So I was forever trying to toil about being a manager when I should have learned how to be a better communicator, because that's where my skill set is. So you figure out, where am I good? This is where I need to spend my time focusing. So if you're sitting at home right now, you're in that space of, gosh, I got time. I'm in a reset now. I can't really apply for jobs because they're not there. I recommend getting this book, taking the test, and you're going to find your top 5 skills that you're really good at. And you're an NBA player, you ought to play basketball. This really helped guide me and helps guide a lot of people I know.
And I think that's a good point. And some people disagree with me when I say this, but don't focus on your weaknesses, focus on your strength. Okay. Right. Your weaknesses are going to be there. So don't improve on them. Like, one of the things I've improved my entire career on, I'm still really bad at it, but I work on it every day, is my patience. You know, and during this pandemic, my wife gave me the greatest compliment in the world. She says, I've been unbelievably patient. So I work on it every single day. In business, I'm still not as patient as I should be, but I work on my strengths. I work on what am I good at, because my strength is probably better than any strength that you have. So your strength of communication is probably better than any strength that I have.
Yeah, and it's so important. And here's the other thing. You focus on, if you do the things that you're good at, you're going to be happier. You're going to be more effective. You're going to get promoted, and you're going to get more jobs in that space, because Joe's going to want to talk about you because you're passionate about what you're doing.
But Mark, also, that's a really good point, but I wanted to get lost, is you may not make more money, but you'll be happier.
True.
You may find what you're really good at, and it may be less money. Now, we've all met really rich people who are miserable, and we met people with no money that are the happiest people in the world, right? And then we met people in between. Okay.
And Anthony, I've met a lot of people who have a lot of money and are really happy.
Which Glenn was trying to say something stupid. What?
Yeah. No, I successfully said something stupid. Don't say I try. I do. Mark, please continue.
My point is, I've met a lot of people with a lot of money, and they're really happy too.
Yeah.
So, no, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I've met a lot of people with a lot of money and really happy. But I'm saying, if you ask them, take your money away. Not saying you go bankrupt or whatever. Take your money away, okay, and just have an easier life. You don't have the BMW. You have a Ford Escort. Are you going to be any less happy?
Good thing I'm driving Escort.
But my answer is, most of the people I know that have money, that are wealthy, will be happy with less money as long as their basic needs are taken care of and they can go on vacation, things like that. But I'm saying is there's only so many toilets you can use in a day, and there's only so many TVs you can watch at one time, and there's only so many cars you can drive at one time. But at the end of the day, those people that are wealthy and happy, they're not happy because they're wealthy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, Joe, can I criticize your LinkedIn profile?
Yeah, I threw it out there for criticism, and you know what? I'm a lifetime learner, so give me something to learn here.
Let's just hope you don't need to find a job. Apparently,
can we show? Are we able to show it or no?
Can we? I don't know. Let's see if Jeff could figure that part out.
I got a share screen button on my monitor. I can.
Let's give it a try and see what happens, because we haven't tried that.
Let's see. Here we go. Share screen. Screen sharing tips. Yeah, I don't care about the tips. Share screen.
I think you can share the screen, Glenn, because you're the host.
Yeah.
Hold on.
All right.
How about it?
Oh, look at that. Boom. I'll bring it in.
Oh, good. Okay. Great.
All right. Let's make Joe bigger. I'm going to increase the size. Here we go. So, Joe, first things first. Your picture, you need to crop it closer. I need to see your eyes. So when I meet you on his. And here's something else. Keep in mind, most people are looking at you on their phone, so you're even smaller on a phone.
Oh,
so
interesting.
Think about 80% of the interactions will be with your profile will be from a mobile device. So always keep that in mind.
Can I judge it too? Am I allowed to?
Yeah, rock on. Go for it.
Beat it up a little bit. Okay, first of all, you definitely didn't miss a day at the gym, right? So I see you're built, right? You're a strong guy, and that's the first thing I notice, right? And the second thing I notice is you have two buttons on buttons, so I see a little bit of your skin, right? And you look too far away. So the first thing I'm looking at is you're obviously a good-looking guy. You're obviously a bodybuilder, and I'm looking at you, and that kind of almost looks like if I was wanting to date you, that's a great picture. But if I'm wanting to take you seriously as a business person, I want something a little less, wow, I'm a really good looking guy. That's just my opinion.
I would say you need to blend that. I don't think that
whether I love that or I hate that. I'm torn.
So that, that whole thing, perception is reality, is so important. It is important to have a jacket on in the profile. Jackets, without a doubt, increase your competence and the competence and influence that you project. So that is good. I don't think that a tie is necessary today, but I would crop it closer. And I like that you're friendly. And I also like that you have an interesting background. It's just not a backdrop. So all those are good. I think Anthony's just jealous that you're a good looking guy, Joe.
I know. The good news is though, for being the winning contestant, Joe, on here, you and Anthony are going to be whisked away for a 5-day fabulous vacation in Mexico.
Can't
You know what?
wait.
Congratulations, Glenn. You finally said something that's hysterical. That was perfect. That was perfect timing.
It only took a
Bring the
couple of
wine,
years.
I'll bring the Corona.
I love
but
this.
just like some people are insecure about putting their picture up there, there's also people judging you because you look like a player. You look like, hey man, look at me, man. You know, there's also that. So as a recruiter, not so much. I don't care. You're my recruiter, but maybe as a general manager or regional guy, maybe I'm looking at that a little closer. So just as much as like before I say there's also that it's like, oh, like he thinks he's all that in a bag of chips. I don't think that really says that. I think it's a pretty good picture, to be honest with you. But if we're really being judgy, we'll judge you.
Yeah.
And you can judge mine. You can judge mine. You can judge mine anytime you want.
All right. Here's something else I like about this, Joe, that you have a banner. And I do compare profiles to experiences in a hotel. So if you walk into a 1-star 1-diamond hotel, you know you're in that hotel. When I walk into a 5-star 5-diamond hotel, I know I'm in that hotel too. You know, marble fixtures, crown molding, the whole experience. Your LinkedIn profile can express that also by having this thing that you see back here in the back. This is the banner, and you've got a custom banner. And I also love that you're touting your clients. That is a very good experience. I really think that that's top. That is a top tier feel. I enjoy that. Here's the other thing. Your about screen, you are speaking to organizations that you want them to hire you. You're immediately telling me what I need to know, and I think this is good. Everyone, this is really important. Your LinkedIn profile is your personal website. Let me repeat that. It is your personal website. Don't go buy a URL. Use your LinkedIn profile as your personal website. And if you have your own website, like at the hotel, you're constantly making sure that it's up to speed, that it's up to date, that you're sharing the most current info. Your LinkedIn profile needs to be the same thing as a brochure on your personal website. The about screen is where the meat is served. You've got to make sure the very best hard-hitting information shows in the about section of your profile. And you're doing that. I like what you have here. I also like, because of my ADD, I quickly get information from this. And I think that that's really great. And you've got great info here. You got how I can reach you. That is also important to have under contact info. This contact info button is a big deal. So if I click that, I know how to find you. Well, I don't. You need to have a phone number on here and an email, because this is your digital business card. So what I would do is put the general company number. If for those of you out there that have cell phones, don't put your cell phone here. Go to Google Voice and get a free phone number and forward it to your mobile device or your cell phone. If you have an office, use the office number. And Joe, you may not want to put on here your email. You need to have some sort of email on here so people can reach you. Because if I am interested in doing business with you, you don't want to create a barrier. In my opinion, you're creating that barrier, because if I click here, I can't get there. Now, in your about screen, you've done that, so I know that you're willing. So this information needs to be up in your contact info.
Yeah, it's interesting. I have all that in there and it's not showing. I wonder if maybe I have a setting where it doesn't show unless you're connected to me.
Oh, yes. So I would switch that, because you definitely want that to share with those that you're connected, because you and I are not connected. Let's fix that.
Yeah.
All right. So going back, outside of that, you know, this is not a surprise. You have a really great profile. The one thing I want to mention is this featured section is new. These are tiles that used to appear at the bottom of the about section. I would take advantage of this. You know what, Anthony, this is where you can share those awards you've received. If you've been interviewed in a magazine, if there's a video of you sharing content, you can add this to this featured section. And this featured section is endless. You can also highlight posts from your profile. But I'll tell you what, I think that, Joe, I think that you're doing well. Absolutely. Excellent. I could talk about your profile all day long. If you ever want more info, let me know.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I've got a couple of questions that have been coming in from the audience over here. How about organizations you worked with and have gotten certificates? Should those stand out as much? I know you said that they're in the featured section. Is that really just the appropriate place for them?
Yeah, I would. Every time you have new education, you need to make sure that it shows up under the certification piece, not education, on that piece on LinkedIn where you can highlight that. That's a big deal. Why? Because Anthony's going to be impressed. You're continuing to educate yourself, and continual learning is so important. Would you agree, Anthony?
Yeah, absolutely. Joe, I was going to ask him that question. When you see an eCornell certificate for revenue management, does that make a difference to you?
Yeah. I put it on there. I think put those all in the same place, probably at the bottom of the resume. It does make a difference.
Yeah, but a lot of people put it at the top of their educational because the first thing that comes up in education when you're looking, it says Cornell. So I always go, wow, this person went to Cornell. And then they have a certificate. They got my attention. I like that they got the certificate. But at first I was like, and listen, and I'll be the first to say it. This is the hotel business, hospitality business. You go to Cornell, I'm going to look at you.
Yeah. Yeah. If you went to Cornell, put it at the top. Or if you're like me and you went to Akron, put it at the bottom.
Could I say I went to Cornell if I just drove through there and had lunch one day?
Yes. Just put it under certification.
All right. Excellent. Okay. So one question that's coming from me, not from our audience members out there, is that I sometimes think that when we were talking earlier about those gaps in the resume, one thing that I was thinking about at that time was, I think we're thinking about this too much from a man point of view. Women in society today still seem to be the ones primarily to leave the job market to take care of young children. I'd like to think that it's a 50-50 kind of thing. It's not a 50-50 kind of thing. How should females that are wanting to return to the job market properly explain gaps in their resume that might be because they had one child and then perhaps another child down the road?
Glenn, you said something funny and you asked the best question of your career. Wow. All in one day.
All right. Thanks for joining us on the show. See you all later.
So I have advice for those moms before Joe takes this over, because I know this is a good answer, a good question for Joe. If you're going to be one of those moms, and my hat's off to you, while you're being a mom, get involved in civic organizations and get on board, serve whatever is important to you when you have that free night a week, and be the chair of something at your church or something at the school, or join Rotary. I don't know. There's so many options, but those are commitments that are about 1 hour a week, maybe 2 hours a week, and maybe more at home. Do that, because that builds your resume even while you're being at home. I just had to
I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge that.
Please.
Okay, before Joe jumps in, I'm going to challenge that. I'm a mom. I'm home. I'm taking care of all the household needs, man or women, because men do it too.
Sure.
So men and women, I'm taking care of helping my kids get back and forth to sports. I'm cooking dinner. I'm cleaning the house. I'm taking care. By 10 o'clock, I'm exhausted. I'm going to sleep. I'm not interested in doing any civil activities. I think being at home for a lot of people is a full-time job, and those should be enough certifications to keep you viable. Because I know personally, I've had that situation where I've seen, and I go, oh, well, I was a mom for 3 years. All right, talk me through that. What does that mean? Okay, where were you? Why did you decide to just stay home? Because I really wanted to ensure that my children, whatever. That's just as important to me as, matter of fact, probably more important to me in some instances, depending how they explain it. Because if you were on the fast track and you decide to get off the fast track, you had enough confidence to say, my number one priority is my family and not building my resume, and then I'm going to come back, and I know I can get back on the fast track. Joe, what do you think? So I agree with you, Mark, but I know if I stayed home, I'm not interested. I'm just going to come back, and I'm going to get back on the fast track. Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll give you my favorite example of what I saw on a resume that I think is a great way to handle that. I saw a resume, and it was, let's just say 2010 to 2015, Hilton, 2015 to present, domestic engineer, and underneath of it, stay-at-home mom, taking care of my 3-year-old, my 2-year-old, whatever it is. But when I looked at the resume, I didn't see a gap. It said 2015 to present, domestic engineer, and it let me know that they were a stay-at-home mom. And there's just something about gaps on resumes that make your eyes just kind of freak out a little bit. And she handled it well. She told me what she was up to. And you really, I don't think people diminish the marketability of someone who was in the workforce doing a great job, who went to be a stay-at-home mom. And so,
or stay-at-home dad, guys. There's both sides. Let's not discriminate. Stay-at-home dads.
Thank you.
So look at that. If I decided, okay, to stay home for 3 years and be a stay-at-home dad, and I put domestic engineer, be honest, would you have the same empathy and respect?
Pass.
Okay? You know, and no, but that's a bunch of crap, right? That's a bunch of crap. I have 3 daughters. I've traveled a lot. Okay, I've been away from home enough. Okay, if I decided before I'm going to go back and be a general manager, maybe I'm going to be home. I'm going to be a domestic engineer, and I'm going to stay home with my kids. Like, so it's got to be on both sides here. You know, it's like on one hand we have respect for this young lady, which I do, but I have just as much respect for any man or anyone that decide to stay home and take care of their children. There's nothing more important.
But Anthony, this conversation really speaks to those things that you have to think about if you are deciding to be a stay-at-home parent, right? And you know that in 5 years or so, you're going to want to go back into the workforce. Have a plan. That's all I want you to think about, is that there are people that'll be absent like you. And I applaud you for appreciating that people stay at home and understand it's not easy to be a stay-at-home parent. Absolutely not. Because it is a 24/7 job. Throw a couple of dogs in there, will you? And it even makes it 10 times worse. So that is important, but there are people that are not like you, that you're still going to want to get their attention, and you'll need to have something that will get their attention. And if you're thinking, I'm going to come back to work in 5 years or 7 years or 10, do something to complement some of your experience. It'll help. But the flip side is, and this is my thought, Anthony, is you may not want to work for the person that's going to demand that you don't just stay home and be a parent. And I get that too. Just think about it. Be purposeful if you're going to step out and be a parent. Just something to think about.
And Joe, I have an interesting position, because I have thought, and Glenn knows this, I have thought about coming back and being a general manager of what a landmark hotel or a really big hotel. I want a big challenge. I've thought about that. I'm not going to do that, but I thought about it. And I was insecure about, here's this guy that everybody knows. Here's this guy's been on TV for 10 years, and now he's going back to be a general manager or vice president or a managing director or maybe even the president of a brand. Like, what happened to his career? That was a choice that I was seriously considering. And I've been asked for several years now to get back to my show. And it's not what I wanted to do. And so I challenged myself with that, with the insecurity of, oh, what are people going to say? It's the first time I said that out loud, but it's true. Mm-hmm. So I think, to your point, Mark, it's like you have to tell that story.
Absolutely.
Speaking of telling stories, we got a question over here. Mark, what's the future might look like next? Short bio feature videos? I think that's an interesting idea, but are people actually going to watch them? That's I think the wrinkle in that one.
Well, right now, 80% of mobile device usage is watching video content. Video's not dead. So I will tell you, if you're comfortable putting together some sort of recorded video bio, it's not a bad idea, because what you're going to do is you're going to reduce the anxiety of wondering, what is this person going to look like? And especially if you're going to fly them across country, right? Joe, how many times when you have a candidate, are they jumping on a plane for an interview? And there's expense in that, right? What's the percentage? Is it most of your jobs you're putting people on a plane, or how does that work?
Probably 50%.
All right. So if I'm going to fly someone in and I can see them in video form on their LinkedIn profile, that kind of reduces my stress. If I see, oh, this person fits. All right, this is good. So yeah, video is good. Are we there now? Is that an expectation? We're not there yet. Could we be that way in the future? Yeah, actually, I think that's probably an interesting question. I would give it in 10 years. It's probably going to be that.
Well, I think actually it's going to be moved up because of this pandemic.
Maybe
Okay,
so.
I think the video, even if you don't put yourself on video, you're going to be videotaped doing the resume. You're going to do Zoom. You're going to do
Right.
whatever is out there. You're going to be doing that. So I think that is a really great question. And I think what I would say is, if you're not good at lighting and producing and wardrobe, you better have somebody helping you, because the judgment is going to come at you, really, really quick, and it's got to be perfect. So if you're going to put yourself out there, everything matters. And so if you do that, just make sure it is perfect. And I would almost do it in the sense of do different. Like I was just going to interview, if I was just going to put myself on tape to say why I'm qualified, I don't know if I would do that. But if I was kind of a funny guy or a funny girl, and I was kind of a little quirky and wanted to show that, I may do that. Like when I look at your presence, Mark, you got this with the mic. Like, that's kind of quirky. I like that. That tells me that you're creative, you're an entrepreneur, you communicate. I like that. That tells me something. But if you're just going to stand in front of a green screen and talk to me and interview yourself through the screen, that's probably not going to work.
Right.
I want to piggyback on the question too, to ask Mark, where's the line between personal and professional on LinkedIn? I think when Anthony described himself impatient, maybe doesn't like to follow the rules, maybe I feel like I'm cut from that same cloth. So I kind of go forward on social media with my own rules, and I blend personal and professional. You might see yesterday I put a video of me hugging my daughters when I came home from work. Where's the line? I know for me, I go into the personal side. What advice do you give to folks like me and others out there?
Yeah. So what are the off limits piece? Let's start off there. You never want to go onto LinkedIn and talk about politics, sex, or religion unless you're in the business of politics, sex, or religion. You're going to alienate part of your audience. There is a bleeding of some of the more personal stuff into LinkedIn. And let's be honest, we are hiring people, not robots. So if you are able to share something that's personal, that is good. However, think about your audience when you share anything. So if you have a personal story that you want to share, you've got to think, how can I pivot this so that my audience understands it's really about them? We're all so self-centered. We are all so self-centered. We're going to look at content and say, how does that make me feel? And you want to make sure your audience feels good about watching that. So, we've all been there. You see someone and all they do is they like to show stuff of they're at the bottom of the Eiffel Tower. They're at this beautiful beach. They're in Hawaii, blah, 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 blah. And after a while you say, okay, it's a little much. They're sharing too much about them and it's all about them. But you could certainly make a comment, like if Anthony is traveling around and he's taking a photograph in each of those locations with a hotel GM or the employee of the month and saying, hey, congratulations, they do great work. We love that work. That's compelling and good stuff. So just think about your audience, but still make it personal. Guaranteed, Glenn is always thinking, how can I inject the personal by connecting with my audience?
That's right.
You've got to do the same thing. It's so important.
Yeah. And I've always struggled with that because I don't like putting my personal stuff out there. I do more like if you go to Instagram, you'll see my my Insta stories, and that's where you really get the sense of who I am as a dad and a family guy. On LinkedIn, I've shared a little bit. To your point, Mark, I was at Vegas right before everything collapsed. And there was a young lady. I was with Glenn. There was a young lady in the hallway, and we videotaped it. She was a housekeeper, and then we cut that and we put it on LinkedIn. Normally, I wouldn't really put stuff like that on LinkedIn, but it was a hotel story. It was feel good. We were hugging, crying, and Glenn knows I cry a lot. So it was a feel good story, and we put it on there. But it was really a personal moment for me because I really just felt so embraced by this person who's so in love with her job. So it's always been a struggle for me. So that's an outstanding question.
Yeah.
Right. And if we want to talk about injecting personal stories, I cry too, but only on airplanes during really bad movies. I don't know why that is, but that's actually true.
Yeah, what do you do? So Glenn, what do you do when you're crying and the guy next to you or the girl next to you, like you're crying and you're like, I'm crying and I can't like stop
No.
myself.
I got something in my eye. Oh, what's happening over here?
Because again, everybody knows I watch the Bad News Bears and I cry, and so I'm always crying on especially I watch a lot of documentaries. I watch every Delta documentary they've ever put out, and I cry all the time, and I'm sitting there weeping, and this person next to me, they want to turn to me and go, "Are you okay?" so I understand what you're saying.
All right, so we are getting so many questions, and I know we've been on air for a long time, but I don't want to miss one in particular from Deborah, who's director of operations position in a hotel, and she wants to know what the thoughts on getting that first GM role. Most want experience. That's a tough chasm, I would think, to jump over for certain people. And Joe, hearing your reaction, I guess that's true.
Tell the executive search firm you'll pay their fee. That's how I got mine.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead, Joe.
Especially right now. That is a great question. So Deborah, great question. The number one way we see people become a GM is within the company that they're a director of operations. So that is the top way it happens. You think about that wherever you are in your career, about how you strategically position the company you work for to make you a general manager. Outside of that, I think Anthony is a great example of someone that went in and got his first GM job. I think you have to have incredible confidence and be ready to answer the questions that the answer is no. Have you ever done this? No. Well, don't say no. It's, well, what I have done is this, this, and this, which makes me incredibly qualified for that next step. So I think have the rebuttal ready to go on the answers that are no.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. So let me ask you from an executive search firm perspective. Your job is to find talent, right? Your job is not to just rubber stamp resumes. Your job really is you have to be a psychiatrist. You're a psychologist. You have to find talent. So what happens with maybe she comes into your office or she sends you a resume and the owner says, no, I want experience, but there's something about this resume, or maybe she called you, there's something about this interview. How do you bridge the gap between the owner's expectations of Joe Maddon's experience, but your gut feeling of this person's going to set the world on fire? Like, how do you do that? And can you, or would your customer that you're trying to find, your client, will they not do business with you anymore because you're sending them somebody they asked you not to send them?
Yeah, I think as an executive recruiter, that the answer to that question could be all over the board. Recruiters sometimes get a bad rap. There's not a lot of barriers to entrance. Anybody can hang a shingle and be a recruiter. But I think if you've got tenure in this business and you've got great relationships and you're a candidate working with one of those recruiters, they are going to have pull that another recruiter wouldn't have. I would say to an owner or a client of mine, look, you're going to interview this person. I'm telling you to do it. If I waste 30, 45 minutes of your time, I'm sorry, but you got to interview them. So for me, I'm going to put my neck on the line, and I'm not going to do it with every single candidate, but the ones that I believe in, I'm going to put my neck on the line, and I'm going to have a relationship on the other side where they're going to go, man, Joe, you don't advocate often, but you're advocating now. I'm going to go ahead and talk to that person. So I think that is an advertisement for candidates to be careful of what recruiters you align with. Some are working at the higher levels with better relationships.
I would to say that our friend Chris Green is watching the show and says, Joe Rice, you are a good guy. He's the CEO of a major management company. So good endorsement on your part. Sorry,
Love you, Chris. Love you. Thanks.
Yeah. Listen, at the end of the day, you want to do business with people you trust, right? And that's, I have agents. I've had agents in my career, and I'm only going to deal with the people I like, and and that's it. And so I'm only going to deal with recruiters I like. Unfortunately, when you need a job, you really send your resume to all of them. But there's only a few good ones, and integrity matters. And I want you to work for that commission. You get my resume and you send it to somebody and say he's a good guy. I want you to ask me questions. So let me. I'm curious to know. Do you believe in the predictive index? Do you use that as a recruiter?
Yeah, I do. We use it not just for candidates that might get played. Our clients might use it for their organizations. We use predictive index to hire for our own company. So I do believe in it, although I don't live within a box on that. I don't draw lines around it. And some companies do draw lines that it has to be this type of person. And I don't know if I love that. I don't know if I think that great people come in all different shapes and sizes. I love diversity and I love variety, and I think it makes for great teams.
Awesome. I love that too. All right. So we've been here. It's an hour and a half already. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling like it in Friday now. So maybe some final thoughts from each of you folks
Let-
on
let-
career building stuff. Anthony, you got another question?
One question, and Glenn, we haven't talked about this, but I think this we can talk about it right now. And
Yeah.
you could say no, but you have to say no to these two gentlemen.
Oh God
I think
almighty.
I think what's really important right now is, Mark, I learned so much from what you said, and Joe, I've learned so much from what you said. I think it's a good point to have them back on a maybe every 2 weeks.
Sure.
And maybe on a Friday.
Every
Maybe we
Friday.
don't-
Can we drink next Friday?
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
I'm gonna say no just to give Anthony a hard time. But yes, absolutely, you guys should definitely come back on the show and continue to help all of us.
No, and I think it's something people should look forward to. So maybe like every second Friday, we have you back on, because this is what people need to know. This is the most important information. I know it sounds boring and it sounds not interesting. I loved that you took Joe's profile and you went down there, because I learned something. Take my profile and look at it. Like, I think, and maybe we take one of the audience members that send it to us and say, hey, can you look at my profile? So I think that this is probably one of the most important things we can be doing for the industry right now. So I invite you back, Mark, with Glenn's permission, and Joe, I invite you back with Glenn's permission. I can't do anything without his permission.
Let me first and foremost thank our segment producer, David Mignano, for putting this together. He did this show all on his own. I think it's come out absolutely fabulous. So thanks, David, for being such a great friend behind the scenes and helping make this happen. This show came out of nowhere 4 or 5 weeks ago, and we're trying to put it together, and we're having multiple guests every single day. It's been really complicated, and he's really stepped up to help us and help bring you all of these great people every day.
And I didn't know that, because I don't get involved, with that stuff. Glenn handles that, and so that's a great compliment to you guys, because to David and to Glenn, because I've never said this before. I've never asked people to come back on a rotating basis. So that just tells you that I felt inspired by it. So if I felt inspired by it, I'm sure our guest felt inspired by it.
He has asked me, however, not to come back. So we've got that. All right. So guys,
listen, I've learned one thing. I know what I'm good at, and I know what I'm not good at. You are better at hosting this show than I am. There, I said it.
I doubt that. Oh, he's pretty much better at absolutely everything else on this planet. This is literally
that's true.
the only thing I can do.
So I got to mention this about David. Have you guys seen him on Zoom lately? Since he's been sitting at home with his kids, he's got this full beard going on.
No way.
I don't think he's combed his hair in 2 weeks.
Oh,
so he's enjoying being at home.
I think so too. I'm enjoying that look too when I'm off air. All right, so let's go in to what I know is our favorite segment of the show, shameless plugs. We haven't been doing that too often lately, but you guys have earned it. Yes, you have deserved to say anything that you want. Joe, let's start with you. Give us a good shameless plug of whatever you want.
Oh man. Okay. Well, I think a couple things. There's still some hiring going on in the hospitality industry, executive level. So anybody out there looking for talent, let us know. But also, there has been a lot of transition from hospitality executives moving into one of our other niche areas, which is senior living. And I think it's something that individuals should consider out there and reach out to us if that's something that interests you. We're also making placements of development and acquisition people in real estate and executives in construction, pockets of it. So be encouraged. Hiring is still happening. Second plug, I'm a partner in a company called Mogul. And this is one of the positives that's going to come out of this. And Mogul Recruiter is one of their products. And they're creating a curated marketplace for hospitality executives and employers to align. So imagine a job board where you're an employer, you post your job, and on the other side are the top 20% of executives that match that job. Not everybody that comes in from Indeed, but the top executives vetted by our firm, placed on this curated marketplace. So those are my two shameless plugs. And yeah.
And before Mark goes, before Mark says anything, I did want to add on that healthcare, senior living sort of thing. Next Thursday, we have a show all about moving from hospitality to healthcare. That's going to feature Jonas Tannenbaum and Ken Honeycutt of Samsung and Stephen McKay of Almo Hospitality. And they're going to show a pathway for vendors and stuff like that to find in there. And then, Joe, maybe we could have you come back the week after in 2 weeks, and we could talk about how people can get in there as well. Okay, Mark, take it away.
Rock on. So, Joe, I love what you guys are doing. And as a matter of fact, I need to connect you with my wife. She's been a recruiter for 20 years. So watch for that. She's one of those the workers out there that'll do all the heavy lifting. Not a salesperson per se, but a really good recruiter. So I have a webinar. You guys we've talked about LinkedIn. Typically I do a webinar for $75 a head, and that's for an hour. We go through a LinkedIn profile for 10 people. I've dropped it to $37.50 because of the challenges we're in. There's so many people that want help with this. So here's what's great about it. It's live. We get 10 people. I go through, like what I did with Joe, we bring up everybody's profile and everybody gets some feedback while hearing it's 5 things. I go through 5 things that you need to do on your LinkedIn profile now to get it to an all-star level. And when you're an all-star level, you show up higher in search results. You will look better. You get that 5-star, 5 diamond look on a profile. So here's how you find that. It's you go to my
right
website.
There, it's also right there on the screen, but share
I love
it anyway.
That. Here's the shortened version, e-pr.me/webinar, or my website, epresence.me/webinar. You can pop in there.
If you're not doing it, if you're not going to his webinar, and again, I've never met you before. I have no idea who the hell you were before you came on the show. I didn't know what you did. And if you're not going to his webinar, there's something wrong with you. Thank
you for that.
For 2 Starbucks runs, you can get something that will change your life. So I think that it's really, really critical that everybody. I want you to look at mine, and I want you to critique mine. Matter of fact, give me your cell numbers in the private chat. Send me your cell because I will be calling you. I want you to look at my LinkedIn and look at what I'm doing and critique me. And I think coming out of this, if we're not critiquing ourselves and we're not trying to become better, and we're not being letting our ego go a little bit, you're going to have a problem coming out of it.
Excellent.
Awesome. And then
absolutely incredible.
One more shameless plug.
Yeah, go for it. What the hell?
I still have the microphone.
Yeah.
And that is that I
will mute you.
Don't mute it. Don't
put him out.
Is that I am a public speaker. If you ever want me to come to an event, when all this is over, love being face to face. Glenn and I would be happy to jump on a plane. Anthony will meet us somewhere.
He joined.
Run that program for you.
All right, hold on. Let's just say
you ain't going nowhere with Glenn.
All right, I do speeches. Anthony does speeches. But the best thing that all of you out there could do is to have Anthony and I do a live recording of our show in front of your audience on stage.
Interviewing
right after Mark Galvin gives his presentation.
Okay, that works too.
And Joe Rice collects your business card so he can get you a job.
All right.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Gentlemen, I got to tell you before we let you go that I was not feeling too good this morning. I was feeling emotionally depleted. I was done with this week, but you guys have really energized me. You've made me feel really good, and I'm going to be heading off into this weekend feeling a lot more positive about absolutely everything. So thank you guys so much for being here, and I guess we'll see you in a couple of weeks. All right. Peace. Thanks, guys.
Peace.
All right, Anthony. We made it through another week on our show. What do you think about that?
I like when you surprise me, and I'll be honest with you, I wasn't really that excited about the show, and I was like, I don't know really where we're going to go with this, and I got really, really motivated because there's nothing more important right now than people understanding what their brand is and what their resume looks like, and I don't know anything about LinkedIn. I don't know really how to use it. I'm not looking for a job, but I'm saying if I was, it would be really important. But you know what? We do keynotes, right? That's one of our businesses. We do keynotes, and maybe even looking at our LinkedIn, we'll give because people always ask me, Anthony, show me a video for your keynotes, and I don't do that. I don't send out my videos for keynotes. I just don't. I don't even do a sizzle reel for it.
I need a sizzle reel for it though.
Right, right. And I'm probably not going to do one, but I'm sure there's other opportunities on LinkedIn that I can.
You don't have to because you speak for yourself. I do want to thank Bartek, who's a great sponsor. I just want to keep plugging them, even though their commitment to us has ended, because they stepped up to help us. So I want to help them. Go check out bartek.com or drop them an email at info@bartek.com. And they will make sure that you guys are able to generate cash income in your hotel room. Anthony, any final thoughts before we get out of here for the weekend?
Yeah, I'm not loving the sweatshirt. Not loving it.
It's Friday. I tried to wear a sweater and be a little bit more casual.
I don't like the color. What color is it?
I don't know. Death. I don't know. Just beige. I don't know. It's kind of lame. I know, but it distracts from the bad hair today.
No, but it kind of blends in with your skin color, and you look like one thing. All right, now
Good
everybody's
thing.
really glad.
So
that I said
maybe
that.
what we need to do then is to get some great cleaning supplies from Cintas and clean up this shirt, and we can maybe bleach it and make sure that it's okay for me to go into a hotel and not cause any issues. How's that help? How's that? Is that a good Cintas plug for you there, Anthony? No? Yes?
Thank you.
He
my
doesn't know what
friend.
to do with
Thank you,
me
my friend.
anymore.
We're going to have Cintas and Porcelanoso on soon, so I look forward to
Yep.
those shows. You have a wonderful weekend, my friend. I'm going to my 2:00 show because I don't need you. I got 2 shows.
I know. Well, on the
Hey,
show,
let me ask you a question. Actually, would you like to jump over at 2:00 and be on the show?
I
wanna
have
ask
got a
you-
phone call I got to do it too real quick, but can I come in when I get off that call? Is
Sure,
that all
sure.
right?
Text me. I'll send you a link.
right.
Text me. I'd like to have you come on.
All right, groovy man. And thanks everybody for watching for another great week. Make sure you sign up for our newsletter. Text the word hotel to 66866. That's the word hotel to 66866. We all know you know how to spell the word hotel. It's pretty easy. So just pick up that phone and text 66866, and then it'll get on our Sunday night newsletter. So thank you so much for supporting us. We really appreciate the love that you are giving each of us here. It is helping us get through. Hopefully, we're helping you guys get through as well. Right, Anthony?
Right. Can I have a virtual hug? Let me see that virtual hug video. You have. No, the one that you have of me. The one that you have of me of hugging with Anthony. I want to see that.
We have a picture of that somewhere?
No, the video that you press the button and it goes.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah.
That makes me happy. Thank you. Have a good
All
weekend.
right.
brother.
Let's leave on that end. Have a great weekend, guys. We love you.
Love you. Bye.
And remember, life blaze on, and you can feel good. You can feel good about Hood. Bye.